What's up, everyone? If you haven't been following the business side of the NFL's Denver Broncos over the last several months, you're probably slightly confused at this point. So let's run through a quick recap. Longtime Denver Broncos owner Pat Bowlen passed away in 2019. But before his death, Bowlen created a three-person trust that would either A, sell the team, or B, identify an heir from one of his 7 children if and when he passed away. So despite legal challenges from previous owners and even some of his kids, the team was eventually put up for sale, and Broncos president and CEO Joe Ellis has been leading the sale since January, receiving interest from more than 6 potential buyers. And while many NFL insiders, like Adam Schefter, are reporting that second-round bids were due yesterday to the Denver Broncos, it looks like a leader in the clubhouse has finally emerged. Forbes is reporting that Walmart heir Rob Walton is set to buy the Broncos with a winning bid of $4.5 billion. They say that an announcement could come as early as this month, and the bid includes Walton's daughter Carrie and her husband Greg Penner, the current chairman of Walmart. Now, just to be clear, this is far from a done deal. Forbes may be reporting that Rob Walton is the leader in the clubhouse, but second-round bids were just due, and a winner has not been selected. Still, I do think that it makes a lot of sense that Rob Walton will eventually end up buying the Denver Broncos. He is worth nearly $60 billion today. That's more than 4 times the other 3 big group leaders combined, all with a net worth between $3.4 billion and $5.7 billion. But also, an offer of $4.5 billion would be far and away the highest price ever paid for a U.S. sports franchise, compared to the Brooklyn Nets at $3.2 billion, Chelsea FC at $3.1 billion, and the New York Mets at $2.4 billion. But beyond price, I also think there's several other reasons why Rob Walton will eventually end up acquiring the team. First, the NFL wants a single entity owner that can write a big check. Take the Carolina Panthers, for example. Andrew Brandt told me on my podcast last week that there were larger offers for the Carolina Panthers than the $2.2 billion that David Tepper eventually paid. But the NFL and its owners preferred him as the owner because his bid wasn't leveraged and required no outside financing. And secondly, while it's true that the NFL has a salary cap in place that limits the ability of a wealthy owner to come in, buy players, and win championships, it still does give you an outsized advantage when you have more money than everyone else. For example, the NFL CBA has a policy in place that makes an owner place anything above $15 million in guaranteed money in an escrow account that can't be touched. So if a team signs a player with $100 million in guaranteed money, $85 million would have to be placed in an escrow account that can't be touched. That's not a problem for someone like Rob Walton, who has nearly $60 billion in net worth. But as the NFL contracts continue to grow in size, it could be a disadvantage for family-owned and operated NFL franchises like the Cincinnati Bengals and Pittsburgh Steelers, who don't have access to nearly the same amount of cash that someone like Walton does. And last but not least, I think it's pretty clear why someone like Rob Walton would want to buy the Denver Broncos. Not only do I imagine that it's incredibly fun, but historically speaking, it's also been a great investment. The average value of an NFL franchise has grown 722%, from $423 million in 2000 to $3.48 billion in 2021. That's a compounded annual growth rate of 10.56%. And once you add in the fact that NFL teams will now receive $300 million each year for the next decade off the NFL's new $110 billion in media deals, it makes it an even better investment. So we'll see what happens, but don't be surprised if Rob Walton eventually acquires the Denver Broncos and sets a new record for the highest price ever paid for a sports franchise.